Hey, if you're new to my channel, then consider liking and subscribing. It would really mean a lot to me, and honestly, it'd make my day. If you already did, thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, if you like listening to fan fiction, check out my other channel. The link's in the description.
The Try Fruit by Angeal666. What if Luffy didn't eat the gum fruit? What if he ate a mythical devil fruit said to be a legend? One of 3 ancient fruits and the only one that can awaken all 3 types of devil fruit. Its true power? Only 2 beings can unlock it. A human with an unbreakable will, and a royal mermaid born once every few centuries. Luffy's destiny just changed, now tied to ancient secrets, legendary power, and a fate that draws powerful women from across the seas to his side. And before we start, a massive shout out to the warlords of this channel: Case Clark, Leaf5_SCXR, Tristan Ward. You 3 are the backbone of this community. Your support means the world. Seriously, thank you for standing with me. If you want to join the ranks of these legends, hit that join button and become a channel member today. Let's grow this thing together. Much love, and as always, adios.
Nami lead Luffy to Buggy the Clown. Once they were in front of the clown pirate, she pushed Luffy and said, "I have captured the real thief, Captain Buggy the Clown." The leader of the Buggy pirate said, "Not that I don't mind, but why do you have a change of heart, little girl?" Nami hands the map over and replies, "Well, you see, I have been fighting with my boss more lately and I have had enough of it, so I thought I could use this as a way to join your crew." Buggy looks like he was getting angry when one member of his crew said, "Captain sure does look mad, doesn't he?" "Yeah, he does, and you know what that means, don't you? He is about to use his devil fruit power," another member said. "Really, he has Devi powers," Luffy said to himself. Then Buggy started to laugh. Then he said, "You say that you're fed up. I will say this: you are one amusing girl, so cause you can join my crew as I like you." Then he laughs again. Nami smiles and thinks, "Sweet, I have infiltrated the Buggy pirates. And this just proves that pirates are dumb and easy to manipulate." A few minutes later, Luffy is in a cage and asks, Guys, can anyone tell me why I'm in a cage?" Buggy and his men laugh a little. Then Buggy said, "Oh, it's a good day to be a pirate." Then he turns his attention to Nami and said, "Okay girl, what do you call yourself?" "The name is Nami, Captain sir," Nami replied. Buggy turns to his side facing Nami and said, "Alright crew, this is an order. We are going to celebrate for our new friend Nami here for joining us," which get a lot of cheering. It wasn't long before everyone was having a good time and Nami was with the captain, who said, "What the matter, this party is for you, so the least you could do is eat and drink more." "I appreciate as captain, but I like to pace myself as I am a bit of a lightweight when it comes to alcohol," Nami said. Buggy shrugs and said, "Ma, suit yourself then." He takes a drink. "This is perfect. Now all I just have to do is wait for chance to get the chart again, and maybe I am at it, I could swipe his treasure as well," Nami thought. Buggy laughed a bit, then said, "Alright crew, is this a flashy party or what?" "It was, sir," the crew replied. "So, you know what that mean? It's time a Buggy Bull," Buggy said. Then his crew started to cheer. Then 3 people ran off and after a few minutes they came back. 2 of them was pulling a cannon, then they secured it, while the other one was carrying a red cannonball with the Buggy Jolly Roger on it. Then he put it in the cannon. Then he said, "Captain, we are all set." "Good," was all Buggy said. Nami, who was watching, had a bad feeling, asked, "What are you doing with that?" "You will see soon enough, so just watch and see the awesome power of the Buggy Ball," Buggy relied. Then to his men said, "Alright, light it." Once the man lit the fuse, everyone waited and watched to see what will be the outcome. Then once the cannon fired, it took out the whole row of houses. At the docks, Makino, Yuki and Zoro had arrived and saw the cannon fire, and Makino asked, "What was that?" "You got me, I looked like a cannon firing," Zoro said. "You're right, but that was more powerful to be a normal cannonball," Yuki said. Then one of the Buggy pirates said, "That kinda looked like one of the captain's beloved Buggy Balls." Zoro looked at the Buggy pirates, then said, "Buggy Balls, huh?" Makino sighed, then said, "Well, if Luffy is on this island, that place would be the best place to start." The heads to where the cannon fire was. Zoro looks at Makino as he walks behind her and asks, "And how can you be sure that he will there?" Yuki was the one to answer, "Because we know him too well that when there is trouble, he will somehow end up in the middle, whether it is because of his noble or something else." Back with Luffy and Nami, the girl was in shock at the damage that the ball did. Then Buggy said, "Well, now that was flashy, don't you think, Nami?" "Well, it was flashy, Captain," Nami replied. "Alright, now tell me, do you think that Bee can conquer the Grand Line with these balls and my devil fruit power?" Buggy asked. "Of course you will, Captain, there is no doubt in my mind," Nami lied. "Hey, what are you talking about, as it is my destiny to conquer the Grand Line?" Luffy said. He heard the conversation between Buggy and Nami, then he continued. "Then once I have done that, I will become king of the pirates. Just I have been told, well, a king of something, so I decided that it will be the king of the pirates." "You idiot, be quiet," Nami said. Buggy, who was getting angry at what Luffy was saying, chuckled darkly, then turned to Nami, then said, "Well, now I can see why you are sick of him, Nami. You got that right, he thinks life is a big game and as such never takes anything seriously. I see, so how about this, I give you a Buggy ball so you can blow your old boss up," Buggy said, which got a confused look from Nami, but Buggy continued, "And this can be a test to prove your loyalty to your new captain, which is me." Then he shouted to his men, "Alright men, aim the cannon at Nami's old boss so she can blow him up." "Yes sir," the men said. Then two went to move the cannon while another went to get another Buggy ball. Nami turns to Buggy and said, "You know what, Captain, we don't have to finish him up now, so why don't we get back to the party and have fun?" Buggy turns to Nami and said, "This is a good way of having more fun." Then he hands Nami a box of matches. As Nami looks at the box, the Buggy pirates were chanting, "Fire." Nami was looking at the matches. She thought, what do I do, as if I don't do this then I will be killed, but if I do then I am no better than I would be no better than Buggy and his crew. "Now Nami, light the fuse," Buggy said. All the while Luffy could say that Nami was a bit hesitant in doing what was asked of her. But Buggy said, "Hey, what do you think, you are light the cannon already? Hey, your hands are, this is what happens when you deal with pirates with half-ass resolve like you had," Luffy said. "Resolve to do what exactly, kill someone like it nothing?" Nami asked. "No," Luffy replied. "Then what is the resolve I need?" "You need the resolve to put your life on the line, and don't worry, that ball wouldn't leave a scratch on me," Luffy replied and had a grin as he said the last part. Nami, who was still hesitant about light the fuse, didn't realize that someone was behind until he took the matches and said as he lit one up, "Hey you tease, allow me to show you how to light the cannon." As Nami realized what the pirate said, everything went in slow motion. Just before the pirate was about to light the fuse, Nami pulled out 3 bits of wood and creates a wooden staff and knocks out the pirate, and once she realized what had happened, "Sorry about that, I don't know what came over me." "Nami, what are you doing? Just shoot him and be done with it," Buggy said. "What's going on, you're saving now?" Luffy asked. "Don't be such an idiot," Nami shouted at Luffy, then turned to face the pirates before continuing, "I did this more for myself, as I refuse to go as low as these inhuman pirates." "Oh, I see, anyway, thanks all the same," Luffy said. "A pirate took someone I care about and so I refuse to become one," Nami said. "Oh, I see, then once this is over with maybe you can tell me who the pirate was so I can kick his ass," Luffy said. Then he sees then fuse was light, then said in a calm manner, "Well Nami, looks like you were too late, as the pirate had lit the fuse." "What, that's just great," Nami said. So if I have it right, you think that we pirates are just inhuman filth?" Buggy asked, then said, "Alright men, go and get her." Then 4 of Buggy men charged at Nami. Nami swung her staff and blocked an attack from one of the pirates, then ducked as the other 3 was about to cut. Then she headed to the cannon and catching a glimpse at Luffy and thinks, what is his problem? It's like he doesn't have a sense of danger, especially when there is a cannon pointing at him and the fuse is light. Nami got to the cannon and grabs the fuse, burning to scream. "Whoa," Luffy said. Then he watches Nami screams as she tries to put out the fuse, and before he could say anything the fuse went out. Then he saw 3 pirates was rushing to attack then Nami, so he said, "Nami, look out." Nami looks behind her and sees the 3 pirates coming, so she closes her eyes as she waits for them to attack her, not seeing that 3 people showed up. Then she heard, "Well Makino, looks like you were right. Of course I was, as I said before, he has a habit of getting into trouble," Makino said. "Also, you lot, you really should know that's not nice to pick on the poor girl," Zoro said. Luffy smiles then says, "Ha Makino, Yuki, Zoro, you found me." Nami looks behind her to see Zoro and Makino, then beside her heard, "Are you hurt?" "Huh?" Nami said, looking to her side to see Yuki. "I ask you, are you injured?" Yuki asked. "Oh no, I don't think so," Nami replied. Makino walked over to Luffy and said, why am I not surprised that you are in a situation like this? Well, Makino, how I got here is quite interesting, Luffy said. Makino sighed and said, I am sure it is, and it probably involve her as well, and point to Nami. It does, Luffy said. Before Luffy could continue, Makino said, and you can tell us later. As Zoro was walking past, Nami thought in shock, so the crew he mentioned was these people, and it includes the pirate hunter Zoro. Just who is this Luffy? As Zoro was walking to his captain, Buggy said, so you're the famous Zoro. If you are here for my head, let me tell you this, you will have quite a struggle. I am sure it would if I was still a hunter. We are here for our friend, Zoro said. Well, that's a shame because you see I am interested, as killing you would bolster my reputation, Buggy said. If you try it then you will die, Zoro said as he looks at the clown pirate. Buggy was twirling some dagger and said, not faced by Zoro's threat. Oh, is that so? Zoro sighed and said, well, at least I tried to warn you, and if you don't listen then that is your fault. When Zoro and Buggy got ready, for a few moments they did nothing, then Buggy rushed toward Zoro and said, die flashily, BTU. Zoro cut off his arm and leg. As Zoro looked at Buggy and said, that wasn't much of a fight now, was it? Then he puts his sword away. Luffy then said, wow, he was weak, that was a good fight anyway, Zoro. You had to be joking, Nami said in shock. Makino, who was looking at Buggy's body, thought, that was way too easy, something isn't right, as his men don't seem worried. Then she said, Zoro, don't let your guard, something ain't right. Then the Buggy pirate started to laugh. Before Zoro could ask what she was on about, he was stabbed. Then he said, what, how? Makino leaned over to Yuki and whispers, when Buggy pulls the dagger out of Zoro, I want you to get him out of there the first chance you get. You got it first, mate, Yuki whispered back. Buggy pulled the dagger out and reattached, then said, it's the chop chop fruit, that is the name devil fruit, that has given me this power, and because of that I am now a chop chop man, and now I can never be defeated by the sword. Wait, the devil fruit are real? I thought that they were stories that pirates told, Nami said. So, he is a chop chop man, that's kinda weird, Luffy said. If anyone here is the weird one, it's you, Luffy, for eating the mythical devil fruit, Makino said. Buggy said, I didn't go for any fatal organ, but it is a pretty serious would you have, so I guess that make me the winner. Oh, crap, this just did a 180, if we don't get out of here soon the five of us will be on chopping block, Nami thought. Guess Makino was right, I did let my guard down and that was a stupid mistake, Zoro said. Stabbing him in the back was a coward's move, big nose, Luffy said. You bloody moron, don't call him that, Nami thought. Makino knew what was about to happen if the rumors that she heard about Buggy is true, so she leans over to Yuki and whispers, forget getting Zoro out, we need cover. Got it, by Blizzard should do the trick even though it not as blinding as Luffy attack, Yuki whispered back. I know, but does it look like he is able to use it or get to us, as he is the only one that can see, Makino replied quietly. Good point, so just say when, Yuki said. Buggy turns just enough to face Luffy and asked, what did you just say? Then he turned fully to Luffy, then said, what was that about my nose? Then he shot his fist at Luffy. Knowing what Luffy is capable of, Makino and Yuki wasn't worried, but Zoro was, as he said, Luffy. Luffy caught the dagger in his mouth and said, hey Buggy, if that is your best shot, then when I am out of this cage, I am so going to kick your ass. Then he bites down on the dagger a bit more, breaking it. Buggy just laughed and, you going to kick my ass? I am sad to say this, kid, but the five of you are going to die here, but that might go down to 3 if the 2 new girl join my crew, and I will do it by my own hand, so if you plan to do any ass kicking, that you better get it done soon. Nami was getting really worried and said, and that we are so done for. Sorry Buggy, but our captain isn't going to die here, as he has someone very important to meet, Makino said. Yeah, what she said, so Zoro get up, Luffy said. What? Zoro said, looking at Luffy. You better have a really good plan to get us out of here, otherwise we are dead, so what are you lot going to do? Nami said. Luffy said nothing, but Zoro seemed to have gotten the message and said, got it. Nami, who didn't know what is going on, thought, what is going on, as nothing is making sense, this is another reason why I hate pirates. Buggy just lunged at Zoro and attacked him and then split when the swordsman went to cut his midsection, and the moment he did, Zoro jumped, though then when Buggy put himself together he said, give up Zoro, your 3 sword style has no effect on me, as I have already told you I had. Then he realized that Zoro wasn't there, so he turns and says, hey stop and listen to me when I am talking. Zoro didn't listen and went to the cannon and went under it to make it turn so that it was pointing to the buggy pirates. Then to Nami said, "Light it quickly." "Huh, what are you talking about?" Nami asked. "He means light the cannon," Yuki said as she gets ready to unleash a blizzard. "Oh, right, got it," Nami said. Buggy was shouting, "Wait, just wait, you can't light the cannon as it is still loaded with a special buggy ball. I can't go out like this." Then Nami lit the fuse. Then the clown said, "I can't believe you just did that, you ungrateful little girl." Then it went off. "Yuki now," Makino said. "Right," Yuki said as she sent out a gust of snow, then said, "Fluffy blizzard," and it covered the whole area. Then Yuki went to get Nami and Zoro and asked, "Zoro, I know you are injured but think you can lift the cage?" Zoro think about it before saying, "I might, but he would have to be quirt as I would need to concentrate." Then he heard Makino say, "Okay Luffy, if you be quiet until we are free, then I will make your favorite meal." "Deal," Luffy said without hesitation. When Zoro was at the cage with a bit of straining, he lifts the cage. Then with Yuki's instructions headed away from the disaster zone. Nami was shocked to see the famous bounty hunter struggling with the cage when she heard Yuki ask, "Hey Luffy, do you know that girl that has been following us?" Everyone looks over to Nami and Luffy said, "Oh yeah, meet Nami, our navigator." Nami said in a numb tone, "I am not sure about that, but who are you people anyway?" "We are just a group of pirates that came to collect our captain," Makino replied. Zoro manages to lift the cage and starts to walk off with Makino and Yuki following. Then Nami says, "I guess even a lowly pirates can have friends," then she walks off. Meanwhile back with Buggy, he was sitting in a shady place saying, "How dare those five mock me like that? No matter, I will consider this an act of aggression, a declaration of war." Then a beast walks over to Buggy and the captain said, "Oh, there you are, Moji." "Hey there Captain, hope you don't mind if I take the hunter's head," Moji said. "I don't care, so be my guest," Buggy replied. Then the beast started to walk off. Back with Luffy and the others, they were now dragging the cage before Zoro collapsed. Then they all noticed a dog sitting in front of a store. Then Zoro asked, "What's up with the dog?" "Not a clue," Yuki said as she tuned into her fox form. All the while Luffy is getting closer to the dog. Then he starts to make funny faces at the dog, and when the dog doesn't move, Luffy turns to his crew then says, "Hey guys, it looks like the dog is frozen." Zoro, who crawled over to a pillar of the store, said, "Like I care, the damn thing can sit there forever." Luffy looks back at the dog and asked, "I wonder if it dead?" Then he reaches out to touch the dog. Makino sees Luffy reaching for the dog, said, "Oh Luffy, I wouldn't do that." "Do what?" Luffy asked as he touched the dog. Then the dog attacked Luffy, who was repeating, "Get off." The crew was watching in surprise. After a few moments, Makino and Yuki both started to laugh, and Zoro shouted, "Luffy, will you stop piss bailing around and get serious?" Then his breath goes a bit shallow, then he collapses. Then he says, "I don't feel so good." When the dog stops biting Luffy, he goes to his original spot. Then Luffy said, "Damn mutt." Makino and Yuki both stop laughing to hear what Luffy said, and the first mate said she sits down and leans on the cage and Yuki rests on her lap. "You okay, Luffy?" "Yeah, I think so," Luffy replied as he sits up and Nami was walking over. Yuki sees Nami walking over and said, "Hey, you're Nami, right?" Nami nods and said, "That's right, and for the record, I am not your navigator." "At least not yet," Makino thought before saying, "Yeah, I learned a very long time ago not to take what the knucklehead says too seriously, so if you don't want to be our navigator by the time we want to leave, then I will talk him out of it." "Thanks," Nami said. "So is there another reason you came over here, or is that it?" Makino asked. "Right, I came over to give you this as you lot got me out of a really sticky situation," Nami said as she pulls out a key. "Oh, good, it's the key to the cage. Did you really steal it from me?" Luffy asked. "Well yeah, but know this, I only did it. So we are even, and now as far as I am concerned, we are now square," Nami replied. "Fair enough, and thanks," Makino said. Then as she goes to reach for the key, the dog jumps up and eats the key, causing everyone to look at the dog as he swallows the key. Luffy starts to strangle the dog, all the while saying, "Damn dog, give me my key back." Just then a man walks up to see what Luffy was doing and shouted, "Hey, stop that, stop picking on poor Shushu, put him down and leave him alone." Then he walks up to the group of five. When the man was close enough, the swordsman looked up and asked, "And who are you, old man?" "Old man, I just so happen to be the mayor of this town. But the question is, who are you lot and why are you picking in Shushu?" The man replied. Then he sees Zoro's wound. Then he says, never mind that, you have a pretty serious wound you have there, and seeing I take it you had a run-in with Buggy the Clown, we need to get a doctor. Then he turned to one of the human girls and asked, mind if you give me a hand? Seeing as he is a part of our crew, I will do it, Makino said as she helped the mayor move Zoro across the road and into a house. After a while, the mayor came out and Luffy asked, so how is Zoro? I must say your friend is very resilient, as I told him that he needs to see a doctor, but he said that he was fine and just need to sleep, the mayor replied. Nami walked over to the dog to pet him, and as she did ask, so the dog's name is Shushu. That's right, it is, the mayor replied. Why is he just sitting there like that? Is he lazy or what? Luffy asked. Not as a matter of fact, he's guarding the store, the mayor said. Huh? All the girls said before Nami said, guarding the store. That's correct, see for yourself, mayor replied. Everyone turned around to look at the store. Then Makino said, oh, I see, it's a shop that sells pet food. That's correct, and the man that used to own the shop was a very close friend of mine, the mayor said. Then he heads in and comes out with a bowl of food for Shushu. Then as he places it in front of Shushu, he said, hey you go Shushu, and as Shushu was eating, the mayor continued, and when he passed I assumed the responsibility of taking care Shushu here. So, I take it the man died? Makino asked. That's right, it was 3 months ago after fighting an illness that he had for a very long time, the mayor said. Don't tell us that Shushu is waiting for his master to return, Nami asked. To anyone that would appear to be the case, the mayor said, and as he sits on a step he said, but I don't think that is true. What do you mean? Nami said. You see, Shushu is a smart dog, so he probably knows that his master isn't coming back, the mayor said. You're right, he does know that, and he knew it from the start, Yuki said. How do you know that? The mayor asked. That is simple, I am a fox that ate a devil fruit that turns me human, Yuki said, revealing some of her power. I see, and because of that you can act as an animal translator, the mayor asked. Right, Yuki said. What, he knew for 3 months, so why does he stay? Nami said. Maybe he has a connection to it, the mayor said. Then he takes a puff on his pipe that he lit before continued. It's his treasure, and so he is guarding it. His master used to live in this shop, hence why he protects it. I have tried to take him back to mine so he would be out in the elements, BTU he won't move from that spot. Then he turns to Yuki and said, isn't that right? Before the fox girl could reply there was loud thumping sounds along with snarling, and Nami asked, what is that sound? Then the mayor started to panic before saying, that's him, that's the beast tamer Moji, we have to go now, run. What do you mean beast tamer? Makino asked, but the mayor didn't answer as he ran on with Nami following, and with a sigh Makino looks at Luffy and asked, so what do we do, Luffy? Go with them and make sure they are alright, as I can't go anywhere at the moment, Luffy replied. Right, Makino said, then turned to Yuki and said, come on Yuki, and the fox followed her. Luffy turned his attention to Shushu and said, come on puppy, something is here, so why don't you give me the key back? Then a shadow was cast over the caged boy, and the boy looks up to see a lion and someone was riding it. Moji looks at Luffy and said, I see your friends have abandoned you, and just after you all escaped as well. Who the heck are you? Luffy asked. Well, seeing as you asked, I am known as the Beast Tamer Moji. And I am also a member of the Buggy Pirates, Moji replied. Luffy laid down and said, that's cool, also that is a weird animal suit you have on. Upon hearing what Luffy said, Moji got angry, then he shouted, now that was just rude, I will have you know this is manly hair. Is that so? Then that is just weirder, Luffy said. Getting more pissed, Moji said, just don't assume that you are safe, just be in the cage. Then he gets of the lion and walks over to Shushu. You must not have heard of my terrible skill, because there isn't a beast that I, the great beast tamer Moji, can't bend to his bidding. Once he was in front of Shushu, he kneels down, then says, shake. But Shushu wasn't having any of it and bite Moji, causing Luffy to laugh. When Moji got Shushu of him, he turned to Luffy and said, now you nameless thief, I have no interest in you, but the bounty hunter Roronoa Zoro on the other hand is another matter, so tell me where is he before I change my mind. Like you could hurt me, so no way, Luffy said. So be it, Moji said before shouting, Richie, attack him. Then the lion leapt at Luffy, but he missed, breaking the cage, freeing Luffy. Luffy, who was free, shouted, alright, I am free. Then the lion swiped at him, sending him into a house. Good boy Richie, that is some fine work, now let's go. and find Zoro and defeat him so my reputation will grow, Moji said, but when Richie didn't move he asked, "What's wrong, Richie?" Then he realized what was wrong and said, "Oh, it's a pet food store alright, but make it quick, Richie, we have things to do." Then as the lion was heading to the shop, Moji see Shushu guarding the store, then said, "Don't tell me that this little thing is going to guard the shop, it's pathetic." Then Shushu started to bark. With Luffy he was getting up and he was saying, "Well, that was intense, but at least now I am out of that cage. Now the first thing I am going to do is teach those buggy pirates a lesson." Then I talked Nami into being my navigator. Then Makino and the other showed up, and when Nami saw Luffy was alive she said, "Hey, who did you survive that attack?" Then the mayor asked in shock, "You're alive? I guess I was lucky." Luffy said as this was normal for him. "Surviving an attack like that is not normal. I figured you would be scattered, but you're not even hurt," Nami said. "It's not normal, huh? Guess I'm not normal then," Luffy said. "Wait a minute, why did you people come here in the first place? Also, how did you get caught up with the buggy pirates?" the mayor asked. "Well, for me, I am looking for an excellent navigator for my pirate crew. Oh, and a map of the Grand Line, but I have to go as that weird guy in the animal suit said something about looking for Zoro, so I will leave that to Makino and Yuki," Luffy said. Then he ran in the direction of the pet shop. Nami and the mayor looks at Makino and Yuki, and Nami asked, "What was that about?" "Properly has something to do with Moji," Makino said. The mayor nods, then asked, "So are you going to answer me or what?" "Okay, for the first question, me, Yuki and Zoro came here was because Luffy was carried here by a bird which he tried to catch as he and Zoro was hungry. And as for your second question, I don't know how he got mess up with the buggy pirates as he was already in the cage when we arrived to save him," Makino replied. Then she goes on to say, "Though Nami here would know how he got in that situation with what she said before you arrived." Then she looked at Nami and said, "So mind tell us how he got in the situation?" Before Nami could answer, the mayor said, "Right, you expect me to believe that young man went to get a bird but they grabbed him and flew him here. So that explains why he fell from the sky," Nami said with realization in her voice. The mayor turns to Nami and asks, "Wait, you mean that was true?" "Well, yes, seeing as he landed in front of me after I stole the map of the Grand Line from Buggy, and to save my skin I set him up with some of Buggy's men, not realizing that he was strong. Then we chatted, he asked me to join his crew after discovering that I was a navigator, but I decided as I don't like pirates. Then as I looking out a window I had a thought and I said that I might consider joining his crew if he helps you with something first." "And what was you going to do?" Yuki asked. "Well, before I end up in the situation that you found us in, there was a party celebrating me joining the buggy pirates, which was a foe as I was only there so I can achieve my dream," Nami replied. "And knowing Luffy he went along with it, not knowing what was really going on until it was too late," Makino said with a sigh. "Hey, wasn't you worried about the situation he was in?" the mayor asked. "Nope, because we both know that the buggy ball would have done little to no damage to him," Makino said. Meanwhile, Luffy was watching Shushu, who was battered, bruised and bleeding, howl as his treasure was going up in smoke, so he decides to deal with Moji and goes to block him, and the beast tamer sees Luffy. He said, "What, how are you still alive? That swipe should have killed you. Please, like a swipe that weak could kill me, you will have to do much better to do that," Luffy said. Moji growled and said, "Richie, this time I want you to crush him into the ground." Then he jumps of the lion, who charges towards Luffy. Luffy smiles, then says, "Alright, let's have some beast on beats action then." Then he starts running toward the lion, then changes into his fox form, then flames begin to encase him, then he says, "Fox, fox, flame charge." Then upon collision there was a small explosion and a smokescreen. When the smokescreen cleared, Moji sees Luffy standing in front of Richie in his hybrid form, then he asks, "Just what in the world are you?" "Whomie, I am just a person that ate a legendary devil fruit," Luffy replied. "So, you have devil fruit power just like Captain Buggy, but yours turns you into a nine-tailed fox," Moji said while getting scared. "Yes, that right," Luffy confirmed. "Now wait a minute, I apologize for attacking, I don't want any trouble," Moji said as he now knows he is in trouble. "Well, buddy, you are apologizing to the wrong person, but just so you know, because of you that dog has lost its treasure. The last this he had that was connected to Hiei late master, and because of that I am going fry your ass, so I hope you can run fast," Luffy said as he turned into his fox form again. Then he lowers his fount and his tails goes straight in 9 different ways and the tips ignites. Then he says, "Fox, fox, 9 tails inferno." Moji sees the 9 blue sire balls coming at him and he says, "Shit." Then he turned to run, but after taking more than 3 steps the balls of fore got him, and as he was trying to put himself out, he ran into a wall, and luckily for him there was a bucket of water above him which fell on him as he ran into the wall. Luffy looks at the scene then says, "Serves you right." Then he goes to pick up the box of dog food then heads to give it to Shushu as Luffy was walking to Shushu. Nami was watching the dog look at his late owner's store and said, "Pirates, they're all the same, just a bunch of heartless assholes, and they destroy, take what they want, and they don't care how they do it or who gets hurt in the process, and all this without remorse or a second thought." Then she see Luffy walking over to Shushu, then she says, "Oh, I see you're alive. I was sure the lion was going to kill you, and I had wished he had, because then that way there would be one less pirate to worry about." "Oh, like that is possible," Luffy said as he continues walking to Shushu. Nami then starts to run over to where Luffy was, causing him to stop, but she was intercepted by Makino, Yuki, and the mayor. Then she said, "So how about I just kill before you can get a bigger crew, then that way, I am doing the world a favor." "Hey, now this isn't the time for violence," Mayor said. Luffy just continued him walk to the dog and said, "As you are now like you ever could." "Well, maybe I should try," Nami said. "Hey, what did I just say?" the mayor said then. "What the hell is up with you all?" "Well, with my crew not sure about Zoro, seeing as he just joined us. If you have a day then I will gladly tell you, and most of it is our captain's," Makino said to the mayor. Then she turned to Nami and said, "And you calm down a bit and look," and points to Luffy and Shushu. Nami does what Makino said and stops struggling and watches as Luffy got to Shushu. Then he placed the box of dog food in front of the dog, shocking Nami. Then Luffy goes to the other side of Shushu and sits next to him. Then he says, "Here you go, I saved what I could. But the bastard of a lion ate the rest of the food." Nami was shocked to hear what Luffy said and thought, "Wait a minute, you mean to tell me he fought the lion so he could save the dog's food?" Then, not realizing it, she said out loud, "Just who in the world are you people?" Still on her shocked state, Nami heard Luffy said, "You fought well, and be proud for trying to protect that is precious to you." Then the dog picked up the box of food and walked away, but he stopped, turned back to Luffy and barked. Luffy saw Yuki coming over and said to her, "There is no need for you to translate, I get the gist of it, after all I am a fox." Then he turned to Shushu then said, "Thanks and take care and the best of luck to you." Nami smiled at the interaction then said, "I guess not all pirates are bad." "You're right about that, Nami. Ever since Luffy met a kind pirate as a boy, and since then he wanted to fulfill the promise he made to him, and the Straw Hat is proof of that promise, and he was also the one that gave Luffy his devil fruit, not on purpose mind you," Makino said. "You know a lot about Luffy," Nami said. Makino chuckled a little then said, "Well, I should say so, seeing as he grows up on the island I lived on, and even before then be kept on saying that I will be one of his wives." Nami nods then goes wide-eyed when she realized what Makino said, so she said, "Wait, wives as in plural?" Makino nods and the navigator said, "And you're fine with that?" Makino nods then said, "Of course I am, after all I know Luffy and he has the biggest heart anyone you know, so I can say this with absolute confidence, if Luffy is around and there is a good soul in need of help he will help out no matter what he has to do, and I hope that when we meet Poseidon nothing happens." Nami gains a confused look then asked, "Who? To be honest, I have no idea who she is other than the fact that she is a she and a mermaid royal," Makino said. "I see now. If you don't mind, I have something to do," Nami said, then heads over to where Luffy was still sitting, and once she was standing next to Luffy she said, "Hey there, I heard what you said to Shushu, and that was kind of you, even though you are a pirate, so here I am saying sorry for what I said to you." Luffy looks up to Nami then said, "That fine, I understand it, after all not everyone is going to like pirates." Then he stood up then said while he dusted himself off, "You have been under a bit of stress, so there is no need to apologize." Then the mayor said, "I am pathetic Shushu, and the teen has fought hard to protect my town while I, who is the mayor, have done nothing but let Buggy the Clown and his horrid crew obliterate it." "Hey, chill out, it's not that bad," Yuki said. Not that I remember when we first moved to this island. 40 years ago it was nothing but barren land and rock. But we all worked together to make the fields that we use for our crops and open stores for the citizens and for the travelers that pass by to rest and restock. We built this town literally from the ground up, and because of that this town is a treasure to me and all its citizens, and from here on out I will not let Buggy and his crew terrorize us any longer." Then Mayor said, then there was an explosion and a block of houses was blown apart, causing him to fall on his ass, then said, "He is going to destroy the whole town." Wait, wasn't Zoro sleeping in that house? Makino asked as she points to one of the now demolished houses. Realizing that Makino was right, Luffy shouted, "Ga, you're right, he was in there. After have something like that happening, I am sure he is dead now, the mayor." Luffy wasn't listening, went over to the demolished house and shouted, "Zoro, are you there and still alive?" When enough of the dust had settled, Zoro was sitting up and said, "Well, I have to say that is one hell of a way to wake someone up." Upon seeing Zoro was alright, Luffy laughed. Then Zoro said, "Not that I mind the wake-up call, I could have used a few more Z's." Nami looked at Zoro and asked in shock, "How on earth did you survive a blast like that?" "Alright, you're alive," Luffy said. Yuki in fox form ran over to Zoro, licked him a bit, then said, "I am glad you survive." Then she started to like him again. "Yuki, will you stop?" Zoro said, trying to get the vixen to stop licking him. "That is the last straw. I refuse to let some SBAG like Buggy destroy what me and my townspeople spent 40 years building," the mayor said. Then he steeled his resolve, then goes to say, "I am the mayor of this town, and so it is my duty to protect it and its people, and this I swear till I am dead." Then he tries to head to where Buggy was stationed, but Nami was holding him back. As Nami was holding the back from going to Buggy, said, "No, wait, you can't go. There comes a time in everyone's life where they have to fight," the mayor said. Then he looks to where Luffy and his crew and asked, "Isn't that right?" "You have that right, old man," Luffy said. Nami, who was still holding the mayor, then said, "You moron, don't encourage him, it's dangerous for him to fight Buggy." "And you think I don't know that?" the mayor said, shocking Nami enough to let him go. Seeing his change, the mayor took off running and he shouts, "Buggy, I am coming for you." The mayor was crying. Nami said, "You're right, he was," Makino said. "How he was, I didn't notice," Luffy said. "Well, it sure looks like the party is getting interesting," Zoro said. "You can say that again," Yuki said, which Luffy laughed a little. "Are you mad? This isn't a laughing matter," Nami yelled at Luffy. Luffy turns to Nami, then said, "No need to worry, Nami, I have grown to like the old man, so there is no way I will never let him die. Well, not on my watch. And as both me and Makino, when Luffy thinks of someone as a friend, he will help protect what they hold dear, so that mean we will be heading to wherever the clown is," Yuki said. Then she shifts into her human form and starts to walk the way the mayor was running, while saying, "Well then, let's get going." "Right behind you," Zoro said, following the human fox. "Wait, you're going as well, but you're wounded," Nami said. "What do you expect when the wound to my reputation is far more deadly than the one that clown gave me?" Zoro said as he tied his bandana to his head. Makino smiles, then shakes her head before saying, "Well, there are things that are worse than death. Also, we need to get the chart of the Grand Line." "So in our crew?" Luffy said to Nami while holding out his hand. "The answer is still no, because I will never sink that low," Nami said, then slaps Luffy's hand with a smirk before saying, "However, considering that our interests line up, I suppose we could team up." "That great, we have our navigator," Luffy said, then he runs off. Nami watches Luffy run off to help the mayor protect the town. Then she realized what the straw hat wearing said, then she shouted, "Hey, that is not what I meant." Then she slumps in defeat, then said, "Why'd I bother?" Makino walks up to Nami, then places a hand on her shoulder and said, "That's because he likes you, and believe me, he is the best judge of character you will ever meet." Then Makino follows her captain. When Luffy caught up to the mayor, the old man was being strangled by Buggy's hand, so he grabs the hand and pulls the hand off the mayor. Then he turns to Buggy, still holding the hand, then said, "Well, Buggy, I am here, and I am going to kick your ass just like I said I would." Buggy recalled his hat, and when it reattached said, "Damn you, Straw Hat," and growls a little, then says, "How dare you? You can't just walk up to me and treat me like this." Luffy smiles, then says, "Oh yeah, well, I just did. I am Captain Buggy of the Buggy Pirates, and I will not stand for this insult," Buggy said. Nami sees an opportunity, then says, "Now listen to me, I am only here for two things, and they are the cart of the Grand Line and the treasure." "I understand, and I will make sure Luffy doesn't bug you after this is over," Makino said. "Good," Nami said. The mayor in a raspy voice said, "You youngsters have to get out of here. Why did you follow me here? You are nothing but outsiders. You have to leave this to M." Yuki walks up to the mayor and helps him up, then says, "Sorry, but we can't do that because unlike most pirates, Luffy's heart is pure, and he saw that you truly treasure this town of yours and decided to help you do it. Well, this is my fight, as this is my town, and so it is my duty to protect it," the mayor said. Luffy walks up behind the mayor and places a hand on him, then he slammed the mayor against a wall, knocking him out, shocking everyone. Then Nami went up to Luffy and said, I know I have already asked you this before, but have you lost your mind? Why the hell did you knock out the mayor like that? Luffy turns to face Nami, then says, just because. Well, I have to say that's not a bad idea, Zoro said. I'll say after all if he had continued like that he would have died, Makino said. True, so it's probably for the best, Yuki said. That not that point, Nami shouted. That what is the point? Zoro asked. The point is there could have been a more humane way of doing it, Nami said. Well, if there was, then it's too late to do anything about it, Luffy said with a shrug, and walking a few feet away from the group then said, with a grin, well, here goes nothing. Then he took a deep breath, then he shouted, hey Captain Big Nose, causing all the buggy pirates' jaw to drop. Nami, who had both hands at her head in a worrying manner, thinks, why do I bother? He clearly has lost his mind. Then he said, that has got to be the worst possible, this you could has to Buggy the Clown. Buggy, who was downright pissed, said, you damn you little punk, I shall not and will not stand for this, then to his crew shouted, I want you to fire a buggy ball right now. Aye, Captain, the buggy pirates replied before one of them ran off to get the red cannonball while a couple of the crew got the cannon ready. You idiot, why did you shout that to him? Nami said before running off. Zoro then said, come on you three, it's time to go. You can go, but I am not going, Luffy said, and besides, we will be just fine, Makino said. Now it's time to die, fire, Buggy ordered, and the marksman obeyed. As the ball was flying towards, Makino stepped forward and said, allow me, then as she took in a large breath causing her an inflate, she said, gum gum balloon, then the ball hit her belly, it didn't explode. Upon seeing Makino inflate the buggy pirates' jaws, and one of them said, what is she? What the, did she just the buggy ball? Buggy asked while in shock. Due to the force of the ball, Makino was moved back, then the ball was sent back toward its rightful owner, and he and his crew was panicking, and upon collision the cannonball exploded and turning the building they was on into rubble. Alright, you got them, Maki, Luffy said. Zoro had a hand to his face and said, you could have warned me you was going to do that. What kind of monster are you lot? Nami said. Makino turned to Zoro and said, well, I had to something that would alert people of the legendary devil fruits. I think you three are beginning to freak her out, Zoro said. Nami walks over to the group and asked, what kind of people are you? You have a fox that can turn human and can create snowstorms. Luffy can stretch and turn into a fox, then there is you and you can inflate. We are just some good-hearted pirates who just want to adventure, Luffy said to Nami, then turns to Makino and said, I see you know all my moves. Well, what do you expect when you can use the gum gum no am I? Makino said, then turns to Nami and said, well, that is my and Luffy attack known as the gum gum balloon. Yeah, well, I don't care what you call them, all I want to know is how you can do them, Nami said. Before anyone could answer, the rubble began to move and Buggy walks out unscathed as he was holding two of his crewmen. As Buggy stood there while holding two of his crewmates, he said, how dare you try and do me in and with one of my own buggy balls. Nami scoffed and said, man, what a jerk, using his own men as shields like that. In the rubble, Moji woke up and then said as stands up, what in the world just happened here? And then looks around, and upon sees Luffy and his crew he shouted, oh no, not you lot. Luffy just raises his hand and said, hi, it's that damn straw hat Captain Buggy, we have to be careful, he has devil fruit power, he is a fox person, I saw it myself, Moji said, shocking the clown pirate. What a fox person? Buggy asked. You're a fixed person, Nami asked. Actually I am a Kyuubi, Luffy said. Kyuubis are foxes, Captain, Yuki said. So at least two of them are devil's fruit users, one is paramecia and the other is a zone. That would explain how the green-haired woman bounced my buggy ball back, Buggy said. Meanwhile behind them the rubble began to move, and Richie came up, but he was knocked out as smoke was coming out of his mouth and someone was holding him who said, how do you plan to deal with this insult, Captain? Buggy then looks behind and said, oh Kabaji, I don't know, as at the moment I am too angry to think. Kabaji put him down. What did you do to my Richie? Moji said, asked. You mean this cat? I used it as a shield, so my clothes won't get dirty of case, Kabaji replied before throwing Richie to the ground. Richie, Moji said as he rushes to the lion, then he said, Rish, are you okay, say something. Then when the lion came to and sees Kabaji, he hid behind a wall. Then Moji turned to Kabaji and said, "Damn you, you bastard." Then he tries and punches Kabaji but misses. Then Kabaji took that moment and kicks him toward Luffy and the crew, causing the beast tamer to say, "Out of my way." Luffy then changes position, and when the beast tamer was close enough, he said, "I have a better idea, you get out of my way." Then he kicks Moji to the side and sending him into a wall. "Captain Buggy," Kabaji said. "What is it, Kabaji?" Buggy said. "Allow me to repay their disrespect," Kabaji said. "Alright, you can, but you have to make it a good show for everyone," Buggy said. Kabaji smiles, then he takes off while riding a unicycle, impressing some of the unnamed pirate crew, and as he was riding towards them, he said, "You may call me Acrobat Kabaji, and I am the chief of staff of the Buggy Pirates, and you will pay for your insolence." Then he raises his sword and aiming for Luffy. As Kabaji was heading toward Luffy, Zoro intercepts it with one sword while having his other hand on another and said, "I'll clash sword with you." "Well, it's an honor, Roronoa Zoro. As a swordsman myself, I relish this chance to slay you," Kabaji said. Then he looks at Zoro's wound. Luffy steps forward and said, "Zoro, you really should get some rest. Me, Makino or Yuki can take care of this guy." "Just stay back," Zoro said. Kabaji, who was still looking at Zoro's wound, thought, "That's the stab wound that Captain Buggy gave him, the fool." Then he said, "Acrobatic technique, flame breath." Then he blows some fire into Zoro, making him take a few steps back. Then he took that opportunity and kicked Zoro in the stab wound, making the three-sword user yell out in pain and falls into the floor. Then Kabaji said, "What's wrong? I didn't even kick you that hard." "He fights dirty going after his injury like that," Nami said. "I know what you mean, but that's pirates for you," Makino said, as she has seen the best and the worst of pirates from when she ran her former bar. Kabaji then hits the ground with the sword, then said, "Acrobat technique, murder mist trick." Then he started to make a dust cloud. Zoro then scoffs, then said, "Aerobatic technique, my ass, that's just an ordinary dust cloud." Then at the second he sees the sword coming at him and quickly rises his swords to block, but he didn't see a kick coming until it's too late and the kick made him roll on the ground. "He did it again," Yuki said in her fox form. "Now that's just pathetic, watching a grown man moaning like, but now you can see that it was foolish enough to become an enemy of the Buggy Pirates," Kabaji said. Nami, who was watching, was shocked at what she was seeing. Then she said, "To keep fighting even with such a bad injury, he's crazy, and I have no idea how he is still able to fight with his injury." Then she turns to the crew and said, "And why are you three still standing there watching him when he is going to get himself killed, you know?" All the while Zoro was holding his wound and Luffy was watching. "He will be fine," Makino said. "How do you know that?" Nami said. "Because before I joined Luffy's crew I used to own a bar, and every once in a while, there was a fight, and some of the fights got really bad and seen some wound worse than Zoro's," Makino said. "Roronoa Zoro, you are finished," Kabaji said. "You are annoying little bastard," Zoro said. Then he gets up, then continues, "You having fun poking at my wound? Then go ahead," and Kabaji stabs him right where Buggy stabbed him. "Ouchie," Luffy said as everyone else gasped in shock as Kabaji goes past Zoro. "Why didn't you dodge his attack?" Nami asked. Zoro ignores Nami's question and said, "Is that enough of a handicap for you?" Then he turns to face Kabaji, then continues, "Now let me show you just how superior my skills are to yours," making the Buggy pirate eyes go wide. "Alright, go Zoro, get him," Luffy said excited. Kabaji rolls forward sweating a little and said, "You are a fool because you have made a fast error in judgment. I will not be mocked. My swords aim to the world's greatest, and I will refuse to lose to anyone that calls himself a swordsman," Zoro said. "I see it's that resolve that keeps you going, but rest assured wounds as bad as yours are a great excuse for losing to me," Kabaji said as he raises his sword. "To hell with that, to lose to someone like you even with these flesh wounds, then my future doesn't look so bright," Zoro said before putting his white sword in his mouth. "Why you?" Kabaji mumbled. "Alright, yeah, go for it Zoro," Luffy cheered. As Nami was watching, she then realized something. Then she said, "I am not going to stay and watch this. You pirates can stand and fight and kill each other for all I care. I mean, I don't really care if you win or lose, so I am going to use this opportunity to swipe their treasure and then get out of here, and who knows, if you win this fight we might team up again, so see ya and good luck with the fight." Then she runs off. "Okay, and thanks," Luffy said. "Hope to see you soon," Makino said. "See ya," Yuki said back with the fight. Kabaji said, Here is a taste of my ultimate acrobatic move. Then he pulls out a couple of spinning tops, then said as he threw dozens upon dozens of spinning tops, acrobat technique 100 top typhoon. Meanwhile, as Nami was heading to steal Buggy's treasure, she stopped and looked back to Luffy and the other, then said, "They are not normal. Well, Luffy and Zoro ain't Makino, maybe not sure about Yuki." Then she took a few steps, then she said, "I wonder if they can help me." Back with the pirates, Zoro, who was slicing though the spinning top when Kabaji said as he headed to a wall, acrobat technique height in the mountains. Then he started to go up the wall, then he was high in the air and said, acrobat technique fireworks in the cool summer breeze. Then he aimed his sword, then said, sting of the unicycle. Behind Zoro, Buggy began to raise his the said, chop chop cannon. Then his hand shot towards the swordsman, then he shouted, Kabaji, I will hold him, you finish him off. Consider it done, Captain, Kabaji said as Buggy's hand was heading towards Zoro. Yuki intercepted in her fox form, which made Buggy said, I'll let go, you mangy fleabag. Then Zoro dodged Kabaji's attack, then said, Yuki. You bitch, Buggy said in pain. Yuki let go of the hand, you don't know where it's been, Makino said. Luffy, who was facing Buggy, said, if you want a fight, then I will give you one. Zoro, who is panting, said, I can assure you I don't need my captain help to finish you off. You know what, I am getting tired of this, Zoro said. What, this is the great pirate hunter Zoro giving up, Kabaji said while laughing before continuing, I have to say I am impressed you have lasted this long, this a wound like yours. I think you have misunderstood what I meant, because I am getting tired of was your stupid little sideshow, Zoro said. So sorry to disappoint you, so to make it up to you I will show you my real swordsman skill, Kabaji said before he started to head towards Zoro, then said, now die Zoro. Onigiri, Zoro said as he cut Kabaji, Buggy said. I can believe the Buggy pirates was defeated, petty thieves, Kabaji said as he collapsed. We are not petty thieves, we are pirates, Yuki said, letting go of Buggy's hand as Makino went to check on Zoro. Luffy, I am going to sleep, take care of thing, will you, Zoro said before passing out. Good, because I am looking forward to this, Luffy said as he faced Buggy. Buggy was growling for a bit, then asked, yo guys are pirates? We sure are, and we are looking for the Grand Line, Luffy replied. Oh, that is a laugh, and that's quite a voyage one I don't you lot can handle, Buggy said. Then he asked, and what would you do if by some miracle you made it there, go on a sightseeing tour or something? Then he starts to laugh. Become the king of the pirates, Luffy replied, causing Buggy to make a funny face. With Makino and Yuki, they were both thinking, the sightseeing tour might be a great date. You can't be serious, Buggy shouted. Then he said, if you're king of the pirates, then that would make me god. There can only be one pirate king and obtain all what the world has to offer, and that would be me godded. You're annoying, so let's settle this, Luffy said. Buggy moved his, then all of a sudden knives appeared in between his fingers and he said, seeing that hat brings back memories of him and it really gets my blood boiling, so bring it on, you wannabe pirate, and you remind me of him, that damn cheeky red-haired pirate. Upon hearing the hashtag red-haired pirate part, Luffy and Makino gave Buggy their attention and Makino said, wait, what did you say, the red-haired? You knew my old friend Shanks? Luffy asked. Yes. I knew him once, Buggy replied. Do you know where he is now? Luffy asked. I don't know, that all depends, Straw Hat, maybe I do and maybe I don't, Buggy said. Now knowing what Buggy was doing, Luffy gained a confused look and asked, what are you talking about? Did you forget where Shanks is? Which got a giggle from Makino and Yuki. No, I have not, you imbecilic, Buggy said. Then he raised his hands, then said, but I am not just going to tell you out of the kindness of my own heart, you will need to get that info. Alright fine, I will make you tell me, Luffy said. Buggy then starts to laugh, then says, you can give it your best shot, but I don't like your chances. Then he taps his shoes on the ground and a knife pops out of the tip of it, then said, seeing as I don't think your Foxia can handle a blade. Luffy nods, then said, yeah, you're right, not knowing about Luffy's other powers. Well then how will you handle this? Buggy said before jumping, then said, chop chop buzzsaw. Then he flings his lower half towards Luffy, making Luffy jump out of the way. Then the clown said, can't do dodge while in air, can you? Too bad for you. That's what you think, Luffy said before he stretched and grabbed a pillar and pulled himself out of the way. As Buggy's legs returned to him, he said, my, you are full of surprising, but I didn't think stretching was a power of the Inu no Mi. Model Kyuubi. That's because it's not, Luffy said with a grin. So there is more to the devil fruit that you ate, but anyway you aren't that bad, Buggy said. Thanks, and you're not that bad either. Now here comes, Luffy said as he draws back his hand and said, gum gum pistol. As the fist went to Buggy, who easily dodged, then he said, you are a unique one, having an ability from 2 fruits BTU. This one leaves you wide open, Buggy said as he pulls a knife up, unaware that Luffy's hand grabbed onto the tree that is behind him as he said, I will carve you up. Gum gum sickle, Luffy said as he was using the pull from his arm as it returns to normal to clothesline the clown pirate. Chop chop, quick escape, Buggy said quickly before he decapitated himself and reattached when Luffy shot by and hitting the rumble behind the tree, all the while laughing before saying, that's not enough. Luffy comes out of the rubble and said, you keep breaching apart. Meanwhile, off to the side, Nami was watching and had a big bundle next to her and said, what, they are still going at it? Of course they are. Luffy isn't one to give you zero when it come to helping people protect their treasure, and it's also who he is, Makino said as she remembers some of the one-sided conversation about Luffy and his role in the world with the Sea King that lives near their home. Chop chop cannon, Buggy said before launching his hand with knives in between his fingers, which Luffy caught. Then the clown said, separate. Then the hand detached from the forearm, shocking Luffy, and who barely dodged the attack as he flew back into the rubble, causing the clown to laugh a bit before saying, so runt, do you give up yet? Then gains a pissed look. Luffy, who was sitting in the rubble, was looking at his hat, then looks at Buggy with an angry expression and shouted, you bastard. How so? Was I not supposed to starch your face or something? Buggy said. You bastard, nobody damages my lucky hat and walks away from it alive, Luffy said, making Buggy gain a confused face before Luffy shouted, this hat is my only treasure and anybody that touches it is going to pay. Nami, who was still watching from the side, looks at Luffy and remember what he said about the hat, then said, and here I thought there wasn't anything that can faze him. There is very few thing that can, and one of them, if messing with the treasure of these he cares about, will definitely do that, Makiko said. Could he really help me if I ask? Nami thought as she looks at Luffy. It seems that hat has some history to it, Buggy said. That right, it does, Luffy said. Is it really all that special? Buggy asked as he remotely moved his hand and aimed it at the hat before flinging a knife at it, but Luffy noticed it and dodges the knife. Then Buggy said, then in that case you should protect it, before stabbing the hat, making Luffy gasps in shock as he remembers what Shanks has told him about the hat and how he got it. While the hand went back to Buggy, the end, he said, how is this old tattered hat a treasure? Then starts to laugh before saying, treasure refers to sparkling gold, silver and jewels, and all those things reflects their own grandeur, and you really consider this old straw hat to be a treasure? You need to grow up, boy, before laughing again. Shut up, when Shanks gave me that I made a promise, Luffy said in an angry tone. What do you mean to tell me that this really is Shanks' hat? Buggy said. Then he throws it on the ground, then said, no wonder it looks so familiar, he always wore it for as long as I knew him. What, you and Shanks was on the same pirate crew? Luffy said in shock. Yeah, when we were both pirates and in training we were fellow comrades. The damn detestable red-haired bastard, Buggy said as he stamped on the hat. Luffy growls at Buggy before charging while saying, Shanks is a much better man than you'll ever be, and you don't have the right to call him a comrade, and don't you ever badmouth him again. Time for my chop chop, quick escape, Buggy said, and the moment his head detaches, Luffy kicks him in the stomach. As Buggy's body was going down, he said, I don't want you to ever mention Shanks' name to me again, you bastard. Buggy reattached his head, then coughs a bit, then said, I can say what the hell I want. Luffy starts to pull on Buggy's cheeks, then said, tell me what the hell, and Shanks, and where can I find him now? Then he lets go and said, damn, how dare you tear up my treasured straw hat. Buggy sits up and asks, do you really want to know? Making Luffy turn to face the clown pirate as he said, because he is the one person I loathe and will curse for the rest of my life, and as long there is breath in my body, Shanks, I will never forgive you. Then he looks at Luffy, then said, in all of my life I have never been as mad at someone as I am with him. How so? Luffy asked. That bastard Shanks stole countless riches from me. I don't know how you two are connected, but I will say what the bloody hell I want about him, seeing as I have earned that, Buggy said before telling Luffy what happened. Once Buggy was done telling his story to Luffy, the boy then said, so you're telling me that Shanks saved your life? Buggy got mad, then said as he made a pose, non, that's not the point I am getting at it. It's not? Luffy asked. I think he mean when Shanks surprised him causing him to swallow the devil fruit, Makino said as she heard the story. That's right, and because of what he did I couldn't even swim and therefore go and get my sunken treasure, and then I had a revaluation. If I can't get the treasure that is in the water, then I will just collect the treasure that is on land with my newly acquired chop chop powers. Then he raises his top half while saying, and now I won't let anyone that even think about touching my treasure live death to all that plunder my treasure. Then he shot past Luffy towards Nami, who was trying to get away with a while shouting, "Get back here, you thief." Nami looks to see Buggy flying right toward her and said, "Shit, he spotted," then ran away with the clown pirate following. Meanwhile Luffy looks at the lower half of Buggy and off to the side. Makino noticed Luffy and said, "He isn't planned to what I think he is doing." Yuki turns to looks at Luffy and said, "He is." Meanwhile Buggy was chasing Nami while saying, "You don't stand a chance escaping from me, and now I am going to flashily chop you up." When Buggy was near, Nami closed her eyes to brace for impact, but when it never came, she said as opened her eyes, "What?" only to see Buggy with a look that said he was in absolute pain. Then he fell to the ground, then in a pained whisper said, my balls, that was a cheap shot." Luffy, who had a foot in between Buggy's legs, lowered it, then turned to the clown and said, "Don't run off yet, we are not done." Then looks at Nami, then said, "Hey, you better drop that treasure and get out of here, you don't want him coming after you again." "What, drop the money and run away? No way, I would leave my treasure behind," Nami said. Buggy, who was still on the ground, begins to growl, then looks up and asked, "Did you just say that the treasure was yours?" Nami looks down at Buggy, then replies, "That's right, I am thief that steals from pirates, and I just stole a lot from a really annoying one, and so that makes this my treasure, you understand?" "Ah, that makes sense," Luffy said. "That's pure nonsense, that's my treasure, and just because you stole it doesn't make it you," Buggy shouted. "Well, technically they are both right, and now for it to be officially her, all she needs to do is get away," Makino said. "You're right," Yuki said. Then she turns to Buggy and asks, "Plus, did you steal it first?" "Right, and what is the deal? A chemical lecturing another chemical," Nami said. "What did you just say?" Buggy growled. "Whatever, and another thing, the day I take a morality lesson from you will be the day I stop being a thief," Nami said before sticking out her tongue. Buggy then said, "Then I hope you are ready for the consequences. Now here comes." Then he begins to lift off the ground as he said, "Chop chop festival." Then both parts of Buggy split apart, making Nami cover herself and surprising Luffy. Then as the lower part of Buggy flew toward the upper half, the clown pirate begins to laugh, then said as he turns to Luffy, "I would like to see how you are going to save your friend now, Foxy." "Damn it, he broke up into even smaller pieces," Luffy said. Luffy looked down, Makino said as she noticed something in the ground. Luffy does what Makino said and sees Buggy's feet walking and quickly grabs them, then pulls one of the feet out of the shoe, then starts to tickle it, then he pulls the skin before saying, "See how you like this," as he slams the foot onto the ground, toes first. "Fuck," Buggy yells before turning to Luffy and shouted, "Damn it, will you knock it off?" "No, you knock it off," Nami said before swinging the bag of treasure at Buggy. Buggy sees the bag coming at him and quickly summons his hands to catch the bag. Then he said as the bag was loaded, "Why, thank you for giving me back my treasure, Nami." Nami begins to shack the bag to lose Buggy's hands before saying, "Let go, will you?" "I will not, so why don't you let, as this is my treasure, so get your grabby hands off of it," Buggy said. "No, it's mine," Nami said as she was still trying to get rid of Buggy's hands. "Just give me back my treasure, will you?" Buggy said before one of his hands was rising, completely unaware that Luffy lad let go of his foot and was running toward him. "Now die." Then his hand shot towards Nami. "And I thought I told you haven't finished with me," Luffy said before jumping and kicking Buggy in the head, sending him to the ground and sliding on it with the treasure going everywhere, knocking Buggy out. All the parts flopped to the floor. Then he looks toward the clown and said, "And consider that move payback for the mayor person." Nami gasping a bit, then she said, "Thank you for that, I owe you one." "Sure, it's not a problem," Luffy said. Then he remembers something, then said, "Oh yeah, the map." "The treasure," Nami said as they both looked toward where the treasure was and gasped in surprise to see Buggy had regained conscious and was floating just in front of the treasure. "This isn't over yet, Foxy," Buggy said. "Gah, he's still alive," Luffy sighed. "Just shut up, Foxy, also how dare you try and flashily do me in," Buggy said as he floated above the treasure, and which Nami took the moment to run. Then the clown said, "You will pay for that," before saying, "Assemble chop chop parts." and when he assembled he laughed a little, then there was silence as he something felt wrong. "Are you looking for these Buggy?" Nami said as she had a foot on Buggy's tied up body parts. "Ga my parts," Buggy shouted, causing Luffy and Yuki to laugh. "Alright, way go thief," Luffy said as he starched his arms back. "No," Buggy said as he knew this wasn't going to end well for him. "See ya Buggy," Luffy said before saying as she starts reeling in his arms, "Gum gum bazooka." Then his arms shot past him and was heading to Buggy with his hand open, although was screaming before he was sent flying. Once Buggy was gone, Luffy walked over to his hat and picked it up while his hair was covering up his eyes. Nami saw this, then said, "Sorry, your hat was torn up." Luffy laughed a bit, then said, "Don't worry about seeing as I can still wear it. Also Buggy is gone, so for now, I am satisfied." Nami didn't say anything as she remembered how Luffy reacted to when Buggy damaged the hat, then said, "If you want, when I have some free time, I can repair it for you." Luffy turns to face Nami and asked, "What's that?" Nami was about to say something before Yuki appeared and said, "She said you would fix the hat if you like." "No, I did not. What I meant to say was I split Buggy's treasure into two, so can you give me a hand and carry half of it as it's a bit heavy for me," Nami said, hoping that it would distract the Straw Hat Boy. "That sure is a lot," Luffy said. "If anything, that clown Buggy knew quality treasure when he saw it, and now it's all mine, and I bet I can sell it for at least 10 million berry," Nami said before bringing the bags up and rubbing her cheeks on them before lowering them to the ground, then hold out a scroll to Luffy and said, "Here, this is the chart for the Grand Line. You do want it?" "I do, and you're just giving it to me?" Luffy asked. "Well, you did save my life, so it's only fair," Nami replied. Then he looks at the map, then sighed. Luffy takes the map and said, "Thanks Nami, you are a kind person," then turns around and walks over to Makino and said, "I have it, the name to the Grand Line." "I can see that, and before we go there, we will need a few more members for our crew," Makino said with a smile. "Oh yeah?" Luffy said before handing Makino the map, then heads over to Nami and asks, "So are you going to join my pirate crew?" "And I told you that I will never join a pirate crew," Nami said before she gains a smile, then says, "But I will tag along, seeing as hanging around you seems profitable." "Yay, I got," Muffy shouted, "but I am only joining you because it's in my best interest." "Got it," Nami said. "Sure," Luffy said before walking over to Zoro and said, "Hey Zoro, time to wake up." When Zoro doesn't wake up, he slaps his swordsman while saying, "Zoro, it's time to go." Zoro wakes up with a groan, then as he stands up, he asks, "Did we take care of everything?" "We have Zoro, and now we have a map of the Grand Line as well as a temporary navigator," Makino said as she and Yuki in fox form walks up to her captain and crewmates. Zoro turns to Nami with an intense look before saying, "I don't know about this, I feel lightheaded." "Of course you do, it's always something with you too," Nami said. "Oh Nami, you don't know the half of it," Yuki said as she knows thanks to Makino that Luffy will help those that needs help. "What do you mean?" Nami said. "You will see soon enough," Makino said before turning to Luffy and said, "Luffy, I think it's time to help the mayor." "Oh yeah, forgot about him," Luffy said before turning to the mayor, then says as he stands up, "Guess we should wake the old man up." Before the pirate crew could take a step, they heard someone say, "Hey you aren't a resident of this village." "Sure aren't, so who are you?" Luffy replied. "What was all that cannon fire we heard, because it sounded like there was a battle earlier, so if you know anything please tell us," one of the villagers said. "Oh good, they're just the residents of this village. For a moment I thought they might be more of Buggy's crew," Nami said. Then one of villagers saw the mayor and said, "Oh mayor." Then another said, "Say something, can you hear us?" Another one asked. "He is out cold," a woman said. "The pirates definitely did this," a man said. "No, I'm the one that kicked the old man's ass," Luffy said, causing Nami so look at Luffy in shock and Makino and Yuki facepalming themselves. All the villagers turned to the pirates, all saying, "What? You didn't have to tell them that, did you?" Nami said. "What, it's true," Luffy said. "Then maybe you should explain the situation before they get angry," Nami said. "I think it a bit late for that," Makino said as the Nami and Luffy turns to face the angry villagers. "Tell me, why did you knock out our mayor and left him out on the street to die?" a villager asked. "Yeah, are you with the pirates?" another villager asked. "They are getting really bloodthirsty, we can't let them know that we are thieves and pirates," Nami thought. "We are pirates," Luffy said, making Nami collapse. "Just as we thought," the entire village said while Zoro laughed. Better get ready to run, Makino whispered as Luffy walks towards and Yuki turns into her fox form and jumps on the vice captain's shoulder. Once Luffy was in front of Zoro, the swordsman said, "Looks like they aren't up for a discussion." "Doesn't look like it," Luffy replied. "So what do we do now, Captain?" Zoro asked. Luffy just smiles and grabs Zoro's arm, then said, "Run," before slinging Zoro's arm around his neck before the crew legged it with the villagers chasing after them shouting at them. "How do you always make things worse?" Nami said. "It's a good town," Luffy said. "Huh, what makes you say that?" Nai said. "Because everyone is mad just because of the old mayor guy," Luffy said as Nami looks back with worry. Then he goes on to say, "And because of that I don't think they would leave." He is right, Nami, plus believe it or not he is a magnet for this sort of thing, and wait until he decides to help a friend, Makino said. "Could he help me if I ask?" Nami thought. "We are turning here," Luffy said, knocking Nami out of her thoughts before noticing the rest of the crew turning. As Nami follows the crew, she said, "Hey, you have to let us know sooner." As the crew was running, they jumped over Shushu and Nami said in shock, "Shushu." "Doggy," Luffy said, then Shushu started barking at the townspeople. "So what's Shushu saying, Yuki?" Makino asked. "Shushu is saying you will not hurt them. I know they are pirates. They tried to help me," Yuki said. "Later, doggy," Luffy shouted with a wide smile. "Why would Shushu help us seeing as he has no obligation to?" Nami asked. "Well, that's an ability Luffy has. He is able to become friend with anyone or animal," Makino said, wondering if it's a byproduct of able to command the sea canes. Once the crew was at the docks, Nami put the bags down and said while panting, "That was close. We only made it because of Shushu. Why do we have to put up with this? Does it really matter we are done here?" Luffy said. "Yeah, maybe so," Nami said. "Hey, is this your boat?" "It's great," Luffy asked. "It's nothing special, but it gets the job done, plus I stole it from some dumb pirates a few days back," Nami said. "That's a big mouth you have," a voice said coming which came from inside the Nami's boat. Makino and Yuki both recognized the voice and Yuki said, "Oh great, not these clowns again." Then the three pirates that Makino, Yuki and Zoro saved rose up from the deck, and the one wearing a hat said, "We have been eating for you, you little thief. Bet you wasn't expecting to see us so soon, girly," the one that was on the left of the man wearing a hat making Nami chuckle nervously. Luffy faces Nami and asks, "You know these guys?" "Something like that," Nami replied. "It's knit like that seeing as we are bound together by fate," the hat-wearing pirate said, then looks at Luffy and Zoro completely missing Makino and Yuki. "Are these your friends? Then they must take the same punishment as you, so it will be a reminder for taking other people's stuff." "So are you the pot or the kettle?" Makino asked. The three pirates turned to Makino, and one asked in a panicked tone, "Aren't you the woman that was with Zoro?" "That right I am, and Zoro is the guy that the Straw Hat Boy is carrying," Makino replied, causing the three pirates to run screaming, which Luffy just laughed. Back in town, the mayor came to and one of the people said, "Hey look, he is waking up." As the mayor sat up, another one said, "Oh thank goodness he is all right." The mayor groaned as the man that was next to him asked, "What happened here, mayor?" The mayor looks around and sees the rubble and asked, "What in the?" "It was already like when we got here, and there was also a few pirates as well, but they ran off. So do you know what happened?" a villager replied. "Where are the young ones?" the mayor asked. "Well, you can't be talking about the 4 kids and the fox," a villager asked. "So they are alive?" the mayor asked, then mumbles, "The nerve of the kids treating a senior citizen like that, how rude." "There is no need to worry about those pirates, mayor, we have already drove them out of here," a villager said. "Right, but it's not enough," another villager said. As the villager started complaining and plotting about pirates, the mayor said, "Shut your mouth, I am the only one that gets to complain about those kids, and I won't let anyone else badmouth them, you hear me?" "What, why are you protecting those pirates, mayor?" a villager asked. "Damn it, they think they can just disappear and that's that," the mayor said as he stands up and begins to remove his makeshift armor, then asks, "Where did they go?" "Well, it looked like they were running towards the port," a villager replied. The mayor begins walking to the port, still removing his armor while saying, "Damn those kids, they can't just leave like that, I still have a lot to say to those kids." When the mayor reached the port, the kids had already set sail and he shouted, "Hey young ones." Luffy turns around and said, "It's the old mayor, dude." The mayor, who was taking deep breaths and thought, "I was ready to die in despair." Then he shouted, "Thank you." Don't worry about it and take it easy, Luffy shouted back. Damn you young ones, the mayor thought. What did you do, you idiot? Don't tell you left a bag there, Nami said. Sure did, Luffy said without a care. That bag was worth around 5 million berry, Nami shouted. That's right, and they are going need that Moestroid town, Luffy replied. But that was my treasure, you jerk. Do you have any idea how hard I had to work to steal it? Nami shouted before grabbing Luffy by the head and push him into the ocean. Zoro and Yuki were laughing at the duo's antics before Makino said, Nami, let him be it just how he is, he doesn't have a bad bone in his body. Also Luffy, stop mucking around before you actually end up in the ocean. Okay, Luffy said as he became darkness and reformed on the boat once Zoro stopped laughing. He said, well, for better or for worse we finally have our navigator. That's right, Yuki said. Then she turns to Makino and said, so how long do you think it will be before the next one will be? Who knows, Yuki, who knows, Makino replied.